Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Top Producer Show. My name is Brandy, and this is Jeff. And the whole point of the Top Producer Show is to show you guys what it actually takes to become a top producer in network marketing. Now, even though this is geared directly towards network marketing, all the methods that we actually use in our traditional businesses as well. So if you're not in network marketing, but you do have a business, feel free to stay tuned. Ooh, taking out the desk. Anywho, we've been going over the book Atomic Habits, and we are wrapping it up and doing the conclusion today. And then at the end of the show, we will show you which book we are going to do next. So, Jeff, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Okay. So, overall, the book was really good. Absolutely the habits you develop are going to help you develop your business. So I think the real question is what habits do you need to develop inside of direct sales, inside of network marketing to actually make it happen? The very first one is being able to develop a clear dream/vision. The way you're going to develop a clear dream/vision is it's a constant thing that upgrades and changes. What do I mean by upgrades and changes? Well, today, if you're building your business, you might want a certain car. You're going to get that car if you do the work, and then you have to up the game. You chase dreams from dream to dream, but there's always a next dream. There's not an arrival. I think a lot of people think you're going to build a business to the point, and some people even sell it this way. You're going to build a business to the point where you're going to have these magical residual incomes come in, and they talk about beach money and they talk about mailbox money, but the reality is that is usually not true. It's usually not reality inside of any business that's part of the organization, and I think that's that's a part of the problem of the industry, of how it's sold and how it's put together. But the chase part is the fun part. The next goal, the next dream, your vision of being able to build a certain size organization, being able to hit certain levels, being able to go on certain trips, and of course, being able to buy some stuff. I'm not against the, being able to purchase some stuff, but the real purpose of building a second income is to create a third income. We actually subscribe to and teach the financial triangle, which says, number one, you have a strong first income. That first income is a six-figure income, ideally, or more, that provides all the basics, food, water, shelter. You have the ability to go to a movie. You have the ability to put food on the table. You have the ability to feed the animals and the kids and, everybody else in the household. It just takes care of stuff, but it doesn't make you rich. A lot of people are like, oh my God, if I made six figures, I'd be rich. No, you'd be just as broke as you are now. You just have nicer crap, which is what happens to most people. So from there, the secondary income actually builds cash. And the ideal situation is you build cash flow. That's going to take some discipline. And it is a different set of skills than it is waking up every day and going to work. Gary, what's happening? I'm sorry, that's Jerry. Can't see from here. So it's a different set of skills than just getting up and going to work. So you're going to have to develop this dream/vision. You're going to have to work on what it is you want here in the future. And it doesn't matter the age, and it doesn't matter the background. What is the next dream that you're running for, and how do you define that vision of where you want to be? And we talk about, where do you want to be in 2 to 5 years? What does your best life look like? And this takes some writing down and some visualization, and it takes some time, and it takes some finding some pictures. But even better is actually going and experiencing those dreams. What we're doing is basically building the fuel, building the desire of what it's going to look like. And the more you can touch it, the more you can smell it, the more you can taste it, the more you can be around it, the more likely you'll get it, because familiarity helps you define the vision. The reason why most people, don't end up living in a big house or an expensive house, it doesn't have to be big, it could be an expensive house just in the nicest part of town, is because they've never been in a house like that, and I've talked to people, and we've gone out and looked at properties because I'm in the real estate business, and we've gone out and looked at builders, and I've literally had people go, I've never even stepped inside of a house this size, this, at this quality. And I'm like, well, it's free to do. You should do more of it, because the more of it you do, you might not like it. You know, I'm okay with that. You might not like it. Not everything's about houses and cars and stuff, but it is one of the things that does motivate and help a lot of people, especially because, you know, it's where you live, right? So you go from there to being able to learn goal setting. That's another habit that you absolutely positively are going to have to learn and figure out. How do you set goals? Now, the first goal you should really set is whatever the first level is in whatever company you're in, right? Because this is for direct sales and network marketing. What level are you trying to get to? Do you know the details, right? So often people are like, I'm going to go to the top of the chart. I'm like, great. How many people is that? They're like, I don't know. I'm just going to go to the top of the chart. How much volume is that per person? I don't know. You know, and it's cliche. It sounds cool. They're trying to gain favor. They're trying to gain acceptance by saying they're going to go to the top of the chart. But the reality is if you're going to go to the top of the chart, you've got to hit all the levels in between. So why don't you focus on the next level? And the reason why, I mean, I can always tell somebody who's hyping themselves up but not actually going to do the work, because they don't know any of the details to get anywhere they're trying to go. If you don't know the details of where you're trying to go, I mean, that's like, hey, I'm going to leave here and I'm going to go to Mississippi. Well, how are you going to get there? Well, I don't know. I've never looked on a map. I don't have GPS. I'm not really, you're not probably going there. You're just saying it to get attention, which is fine. But as a leader, you have to hear people out and decipher the people who are just talking about doing it versus the people who are actually going to do it. From there, then you have the list. You know, the people that I know in the business that do the best either have a big list to start with that they actually physically write down. And that's a habit too, of being able to write down names and add to a database. You know, how important is building your list? Understand you're not really building a list so much as you're building a database. That's the goal. Take the meal. Hey, don't bite me.
Oh, she's trying to get you.
Don't bite me.
She's like, don't move me.
So don't work so hard to it's not just about writing a list, but it's about building a database. And I'll prove to you how important this was. So I ended up I didn't recruit the guy. I recruited a person who recruited this guy, who's in real estate. And he gets in and he goes, yeah, you know, I've been in real estate. At that point, I think it had been about 5 or 6 years. And he goes, what I've done is I've made a conscious effort that every single person I meet, I add them to my database. I add them to my email newsletter. And, you know, it's built some significant income. And it really had. I mean, he was doing well. Well, at that point, he decides to join us in network marketing. And he uses this list. And he goes, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send an email. And I'm like, emails don't work. He goes, emails don't work when you only have 50 to 100 people. Emails don't work when it's all friends and family. He goes, what I have is a list of people that are used to getting emails from me because they're business people, and this is very specific, and I have over 2,500 people. I was like, 2,500 people? How'd you do that? He goes, well, pretty simple. I add about 300 to 500 people to this list a year. I was like, oh. And he goes, every networking event I go to, I collect their cards, I put them in. Anybody who's interested in real estate, anybody who calls our signs, anybody who's a contractor, anybody, and I mean, he had this gigantic, it was over 2,500 people. So he sends out emails for this lunch, and he designs this email that was pretty simple. Hey, come to a free lunch, you know, seminar, learn about this. The very first lunch, he had 9 guests. Now, I'll be real honest, I've been doing direct sales and network marketing for 25 years. There's only like 3 people I've ever met. 3 people I've ever met or ever worked with that was able to get 9, or, you know, I would say more than 5 or 6 guests to come out to an event the very first week they were involved. So it showed me 2 things. First of all, finding somebody who has influence makes all the difference in the world. Why did he have influence? Because he was a business owner. He treated it like a business. He treated other people like business owners. Like, if you want to do it, you want to do it. You don't, you don't. Well, of course, he signed everybody up. The next week, he sent another email, had a bunch of people come out. And I don't remember how many of the guests were his, because there were more people in the room than just him. But there were 18 guests at a luncheon. Just for those of you who don't know about network marketing and direct sales, 18 guests at a luncheon is unheard of, usually. That's a pretty successful luncheon. It usually requires, if you're going to have 18 guests at a luncheon, it usually requires you're bringing in somebody who's $1 million earner. We weren't even at the top of the chart yet. But this person had influence, and he had a very, very big list. By week 3, he had completely packed the room, and he found a second guy who was exactly like him, because, you know, the law of magnetism kicks in. You don't get what you want, you get who you are. So he was able to recruit another guy like him who also had a list, and he started using his email, and we broke 20 some guests on a regular basis at that luncheon for the next 2 years because of what he showed. And what it showed me is there's a difference between amateur habits, which is just winging it and calling the next person, and professional habits where somebody actually builds a database. I mean, I've only seen a couple people in network marketing and direct sales figure that out, and typically they're $1 million earners. Everybody else is like, oh, I talked to my friend, I talked to my family, I talked to this person, I talked to that person, but there's no database behind it. Not a database that you own. You might throw people into the company, you know, database, but they're not your database, right? So that's another habit, is list building and finding people. So not only are you adding the people you know, not only are you adding the people you've networked with, but he consistently was going out and meeting new people. Any event that surrounded itself with real estate, he went to. Whether it was a good event or a bad event, that's another habit. That's not normal. Most people sit on their ass and they stay at home and they don't, you know, venture out of their little circle. They go to the same grocery store and they go to the same restaurants and they go to the same places and they go to the same movie theater. He's like, no, I'm going to go meet where the people are. And you'll generally find the best people are outside of your comfort zone, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, James Clear was the one who wrote this book. So you have to get outside of your comfort zone to be able to develop some of these habits, which, you know, James Clear actually talks about in this book. So from there, the next habit is being able to learn how to contact. This one most people avoid because there is rejection involved in contacting people if you are learning. If you're learning, you're not going to sound confident. If you're learning, you're not going to necessarily sound perfectly clear the first time, unless you use text message. And that's why we subscribe to and teach people to use text message. If you're going to develop the habit of sending a well-written message versus winging it and trying to do it on your own. So that's just something that's helped us. I mean, that was night and day different. But contacting is an art on its own. You know, being able to, you know, whether it's a friend, where we use the favor technique. Hey, need a huge favor. I want to actually tell you something I'm working on. So if you run into the right person, you can refer me. Whether it's somebody out and about that we run into, that we use form. And, you know, form again is another habit that you can, you know, perfect just by asking questions. The easiest people to practice on are the people you know. You know, just starting out, you can do it on Facebook. Start out with friendly. Hey, how are you? How's your day? What's going on? I always ask people, what's new? What's good? What's new? What's good? What's been happening? They get back to me, and then from there, I'm like, how's work? Because it goes family or friendly, occupation, then recreation. Have you done anything great lately? Are you going on any trips? What's happening? And then finally, the message. So FORM, F-O-R-M, is just an acronym that stands for friendly, occupation, recreation, the message. And then when you get to the message, that's when you say, hey, by the way, need a huge favor. I actually wanted to run something by you. So if you run into the right person, you can refer me. And what most people will say is, okay, what are you doing? What are you talking about? I typically now will say, hey, you got 3 minutes to read something? I'm working on something. I just need you to look it over. Tell me if you know of anybody. That's even easier. Why? Because now you don't even have to talk to them. You just have to send them, copy and paste a message. That's it. So part of doing business, right? So that's the contacting and inviting part. The next part is the presentation. Initially, yeah, you can rely on tools for presentations, but eventually you want to learn the presentation. How fast do you want to learn the presentation? As fast as you want to start actually making money. Yes, you can sign a couple people up with a video. Yes, you can sign a couple people up, but you're not really in control of what's going on. What you're in control of is trying to get a hold of the next person to be able to get on the phone, to be able to do what you can do anyway, which is learn the presentation. Because all you're doing typically is putting somebody else on the phone that knows the presentation. So you're telling me the presentation is so difficult that you can't learn it? If you want to make money, people follow people who are clear, who know where they're going and know what's going on. When you appear that you don't know what's going on, they don't want to join you. Now, I know the sale at the front of the room when they're trying to get everybody in to sign up. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to talk to anybody. All you have to, can you imagine using that in car sales? You know, you walk into the car dealership and they're like, I'm sorry, I know I've been here for a while, but we're not allowed to talk about cars. I'm just going to have to send you to this video. Sit down and watch this video on cars or RVs or, houses. Can you imagine going to a real estate agent and saying, hey, I'm really interested in looking at the house on 123 Main Street. And they're like, no, I can't show you any. I can show you this video and then I'll get you on the phone with somebody. Next. I mean, would you ever use the car salesman that says they can't talk? No, you'd never use them. Would you ever use the real estate agent that did that to you? No. Would you ever use the financial services person that would do that? No. So why the hell do you think it's going to work really well in direct sales? Because somebody who has $1 million income stood on stage or got on a call and was like, all I do is I just send out videos. Well, when you roll up in your Ferrari, Bentley, Lamborghini, and you say, hey, to the person who is parking your car, and you say, hey, would you be open to making more money? Because they went, oh my God, what do you do to own this car? Well, I could send you a website on it because I'm going in to grab, lunch before I go out and play golf. And they're like, yeah. And then the millionaire stands on stage and goes, you're not going to believe this. All I did is hand out a DVD, or all I did is I sent a video to somebody. Well, no, it wasn't the video that did it. Wasn't the video that did it. It was the lifestyle that did it. The fact that you rolled up in a $150,000 to $250,000 car at a country club during the middle of the day, you had a Rolex Patek Philippe watch on, designer clothes, and your significant other, spouse, whoever you were with, in the middle of the day when everybody else is working. I think that had more to do with it than the fact that you handed somebody a video. Now I'm exaggerating slightly some of this, but again, I'm not. This is really what happens. So you need to learn the presentation. And I'll say this to every single person who's watching. Every single person you admire inside of the industry of direct sales and network marketing can present. Every single one of them. So it is a habit you want to learn to do. And you're going to use every excuse. I'm busy. I'm not as good at it as the video, this, that, and the other thing. People are interested in joining people who know where they're going. So if you want to recruit people, it is a necessity to learn if you want to go big and you want to go fast. If you want this to take forever and be involved in direct sales 10 years from now and be at the same level and still not be making money and still not have a team, but you're just showing up and paying to all this different meeting stuff, keep doing what you're doing. Don't develop that habit. It's not for everybody, right? Next habit that you need to do is learn to use third party and be able to identify which third party tool is the best to be able to leave people with. And this is where the video comes in. Like after I talk to somebody, they're like, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, I've always used that scale of 1 to 10. Hey, look, now that I showed this to you on a scale of 1 to 10, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member, whether it's acquaintance, whether it's somebody I met at Starbucks, whether it's a realtor that I ran into at an event, whether it's a complete stranger that I'm talking to on the phone, whether it's a lead, I can ask them this one closing question. Hey, look, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being that you'd refer us, or 10, this looks, you have some interest in this, where are you? Anybody who answers above 5 and up to 9, I get them the appropriate tool that will allow them to look everything over, that's congruent with what I just said to them, the presentation that we just gave to them. I said, look, I was just giving you enough information to find out if you're interested. You don't have to join this second. Like, this isn't a race. I just want to make sure that, if I do send you the info, it's something you're actually interested in. If you're not interested, I don't care. If they're like, well, I'm kind of a 4 or 3, I'm like, okay, you're not who I'm looking for. I tell them that. I disqualify them out loud. The reason I disqualify them out loud is because it shows confidence that you don't need them. And you don't. Why? Because there's leads out there. You can talk to somebody new. I mean, there's 7.5 billion people on the planet. You do not need that person. You don't need them. You would like to have them. It'd be great to have them, but you don't need them. So I tell them that, okay, you're not who we're looking for. And what that does is it'll spark. It'll either, well, really, I'm a 6, 7, or 8. Oh, okay. You were trying to act like you weren't interested because you are interested, but you're trying to act like you're not interested so that way you don't get sold. I get that. I'm fine with that. Hey, I'm just going to get you the information. You make your own decision. So that's kind of how I handle that situation. But the scale of 1 to 10 is the easiest close. You should teach that to every single person on your team. Hey, this is how easy it is to close. Scale of 1 to 10. 1, referral. 10, get in. 1 is not no. Like, I literally want to punch some people in the face that do this at a meeting. Well, if you're not interested, just tell us, you're not interested. Why would you do that? Why not say, hey, can you refer us people, right? Go for no. Why would you go for no when you could go for the referral? I'm going to write a new book called Go for the Referral. We went over dream, we went over goal, we went over list, we went over contact, we went over presentation, we went over third party. The way to get to the third party tool is to ask the question on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you, right? Mm-hmm. From there, you then want to get them to the event. You say, look, I'm going to get you the information, but I'd also like to introduce you to somebody because we have an event coming up and I know they have the information on when and where and the correct link to the event. Do I know where the event is? Yes. Typically, I'm the person giving the event, but I can't do everything and neither can you. So this is where, again, third party comes in. You bring in third party, and third party has the ability. I said, look, I'm going to 3-way text you into a friend of mine that's very successful or is doing really well with this, and I know they know when the next event is, and we can kind of get that done. And that's what I do. I would text, let's say Doris is here. I would text Doris. I said, hey, Doris, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect you to Brandy. Brandy's very successful in the business. And that's what I do. As soon as I get done with the conversation, I'm like, hey, Brandy, just want to introduce you to somebody I just spoke with, Doris. Doris, is, taking a look at our company and what we do on a scale of 1 to 10 is an 8. Has this situation, whatever the situation is, I kind of give them the details of. And then I say, Doris, this is Brandy. Brandy's very successful in the company, has been an executive, has won trips and made, really great money. And she'll be able to tell us where that next event is and what's going on this week. And then I kind of let it go. Send the text message and I watch. Typically, what I'm looking for is the upline and or third party that I'm using to reach out and be like, hi, Doris, how are you? Hey, it's great that you're working with Jeff. How did you guys run into each other? By the way, the very first question you want to ask as an expert is, how do you know this person? Not blab about you. Nobody gives a what you've done. You want to know how they know this person. The reason you want to know how they know this person is because your ability to get them to go do something has a lot to do with how they know the person. If they know the person super, super well and they've been friends for years, then you can joke around a little bit. You can be a little bit lighter. You can ask different questions. If it's, what are you doing? If it's the cat reached out to me and is like, hey, pay attention to me. So we're going to use her as contact, and she'd be really good. But you're going to ask that question, right? How do you know this person? If they know each other through work, that's a little different. Well, how long have you guys known each other? I know you know each other through work, but how long have you known this person? Oh, okay, great. I met them at Starbucks. We don't know each other at all. Okay, that's different. Now I need to build more rapport. Why do I need to build more rapport? Because the person's not going to just go off of the fact, a stranger introduces you to another stranger. That's what just happened.
And now this is very different compared to what most network marketing companies do. So whoever, like a common mistake we see when people do this, when they're picking that third-party person, pick a third-party person who is above you, not somebody who, because what ends up happening is people who haven't developed these business habits yet, you'll send them people, but then they don't get back to them, or they rattle off on a different page. So you want to pick somebody who is going to be reliable and who is professional, but then you also want to explain the process, because we've had to go through this in network marketing with people that we've worked with too, where we've had to explain to them like, hey, this is what we're doing. So when I send this person to you, when you get this message, this is what I want you to do. So you want to make sure that you have clarification with whoever you're sending people, so that way they know where you're at and where they are in the process. So that way everybody is clear, when I get this message, this is what we need to do. But the most important thing is picking somebody who's reliable and professional.
So you invite them. The next thing is that you're 100% sold out and committed to the events. Most of the time, the reason people are having a hard time getting people to go to the events is because they're not sold out on the events. They're not coming to everyone. They're coming to the ones that are convenient. They're not coming to everyone. They're coming to the ones only if the guest is going to show up, and they don't know if the guest is going to show up or not, so their commitment's low. No one's going to follow you. Do you understand that if you're not committed to the event, it's going to show even over the phone? It's going to show even over the phone. I can tell the people who are sold out and committed over the phone versus the people who are not. Who, if it's convenient, I might be busy, I might have to work late, I might have to do this. Guys, if you're building something and telling people, I'm building this to get out of work, your ass has to show up every time. Every time. And I literally mean this. Like, if you're going to work sick, and I know that might be something that we're not even supposed to talk about anymore because of COVID, but like, that you went to work sick prior to COVID. I know you did. And so did your coworkers. They came in snotting and coughing and hacking and fevers and sweating all over everybody. Why? Because you were like that committed to work. Now everybody wants to stay home even when they're not feeling bad. But how committed are you to your success? Your success, the path out is that event. Now, here's the problem. Sometimes the event sucks. And if the event sucks, the problem is not the event, it's how it's being ran. If the event is terrible, then you need to pick up the ball and figure out, either go to another event, or you need to pick up the ball and make the event good. And if you don't know how to make the event good, you're going to have to work with somebody who knows how to make the event good. And some of you don't even know what it's going to take to make the event good. What is a good event? It starts right. It has the right vibe. It has the right music. It has the right environment. Even online. Even online.
Like, I did not realize when I first got into network marketing how much actually went into the events until I did one with Jeff, and he's like, okay, and he actually wrote it out for me. He's like, this is how we start. This is how this works. And like, there's so many moving pieces that most people don't get it if you've never done any type of event. Now, I knew a few things, but not to that extent, and also why it is that you do certain things. So getting with somebody who knows how all that works, so that way you have a blueprint of what to do, but you don't realize how much actually goes into it until somebody actually lays it out for you.
Right. So you get them to the event, you go to the event, you're committed to the event, and then the process at the end is you're going to either have to learn these 3 questions, the closing questions, or you're going to have to find somebody who knows these 3 questions. But at the very end, it's pretty simple. Hey, go back to the scale of 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, you saw everything. Now that you've seen everything, now that you've met the people, now that you've read through everything, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you see yourself? Is it something, product wise, you want to try the product, or, you want to make a jump at this and, kind of go. Now, if they showed up to the event, the likelihood that they're ready to go is very, very, very high. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed. Even the people that don't look like it, what they do is they don't want to get sold a package of garbage, but they might want to get in. So that's kind of how you have to ask them. So the question is do you see the opportunity? So these are the 3 questions. Do you see the opportunity? Or do you see an opportunity for yourself here? And if they're like, yes, because it's a yes, no question. Do you see an opportunity? Yes. Do you see an opportunity? No, not really. Okay, good. Then we're good. The next question is can you afford to take advantage of it? That's an okay question to ask. Can you afford to take advantage of it? Because some people are like, hey, this is a great opportunity. I just can't afford it. I've looked at real estate property before, and I'm like, okay, what are we talking price wise? In $400,000 or $500,000, we're looking at a $3,000, $4,000 payment. I was like, they're like, does this make sense? Is it? I was like, look, it's out of price range. It's not in the range we're looking for, or it is. I've seen people that are like, oh my God, that's cheap. So can you afford to take advantage of it? What 99.9% of people will ask when you ask that question is, what am I looking at? Can you break the numbers down for me? They want an itemized list. That's what they're asking for. They don't care what you like about the business and how long you've been involved and why the product is this and blah, blah, blah. They're asking, how much is it? This is where you need a piece of paper or a pen, or a piece of paper and a pen, or you need like a whiteboard. I have like a little mini whiteboard that I've used before. And I was like, look, it's pretty simple. The starting kit is this. The product is this to be active. It's kind of up to you how you want to do that. So bottom line is the minimum is this. And then what I find is the people who are going really fast do this. Do either one of those fit what you're looking for? Can you afford to do either one of those? Which one do you want to do? So watch this. Now it becomes which one do you want to do, not do you want to do it or not. That's why I always give the 2 versions. So this is called a choices close. I'm giving them choices of getting in versus what most people do is, oh, well, the best thing is this kit and blah, 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 and it's $1,100. And if you're not doing $1,100, then it just doesn't make sense. Great, you just lost. I love when people do that because I'll go recruit all those people that you screwed up. Because they're like, oh, yeah, I went to one of these meetings and they said it was $8,000, $9,000 to get in and blah, 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 blah. That's cool. I'll just do it. He said you could send me a replay when you finished. Okay, yeah, we can send a replay out. So this is just some of the habits you want to develop. You want to develop the habit of dream. You want to develop the habit of goal setting. You want to develop the habit of building a list. You want to develop the habit of contacting and knowing what to say and what to send. You want to develop the habit of presenting. You want to develop the habit of third party and knowing who to get on the phone and how to get them to the event. You want to develop the habit of going to all the events and staying committed. And then you want the habit of basically learning your craft so you can turn around and teach this. Because what happens if you do get them started? Now what? Now you have to be really good at promoting to them to get to the event. Listen to me. You are not the trainer of your people. And if you are, you're stupid. That's the easiest way. You will not be the trainer of the people you personally bring in. If you try to do that, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your effort, and you will not get anywhere. What you want to do is you want to promote them to go to the event. Hey man, I'm going to go to this event. Hey, I'm listening. I constantly send out personal development. Oh my God, I just listened to the best training. I'm not telling them the training. The video is telling them the training. So it's funny because I use videos more after somebody's in than before they're in. Mm-hmm. That's where I get the most out of the videos. But the videos I'm sending is, hey, if you listen to this Tony Robbins, hey, if you listen to this Ed Milet, hey, if you listen to this, Gary Vaynerchuk, hey, have you heard this, Jim Rohn, hey, have you heard this Eric Worre training? I'm constantly listening to stuff, finding the best trainings, and then sending it out to the group of people that I work with. And what I'm doing is it's really a test to see who's literally listening to the information and who's not. Who's hungry for the info? The people who are hungry for the info are the people you want to lock into because those are the people long term that are going to stick around. So those are some of the habits that I find you want to do. Now, in the book, Atomic Habits, he talks about making it simple and making it easy and making it convenient and locking together a lot of these. So scheduling is important. I found the best way to figure out how to build amazing habits. This is the best way to build amazing habits in business, is find somebody who's amazing in business and go learn from them. I heard this a long time ago. They said it's better to be in the wrong company with the right people than to be in the right company with the wrong people. What does that mean? It means if you're with the right people, they have the right habits, they're going to figure out how to make it work, even in the wrong company, even with crappy products, even if the comp plan is garbage. They're going to figure out how to make it work, and they're going to grow it. But you can get in the best company in the world that has the best products in the world, that has the best compensation. But if you're with people who don't know what the hell they're doing, you're not going to go anywhere at all. You'll be right where you started. A year, 10 years, and I've met people 10 years into the business. How long have you been in network marketing? 10 years. How many people you have? 3? Do you have 3 consistently, or have you had 3 the entire time you've been in? No, I have 3 right now. So 10 years worth of work. Do you see how crazy that sounds to people on the outside? So you've been working this business as a recruiter for a decade and you have 3 people. What are you doing? It's not what you are doing, it's what you're not doing. That's where the habits come in. That's why you want to lock into somebody who knows what they're doing when they do this, that's able to bring in, enough people to really make it work. Because there's a certain work ethic, there's a certain timing, there's a certain way to say things, and you're typically not going to learn that by accident. You're going to have to be around somebody who's good at it and then pick up those habits. Because the easiest way to pick up the habits is to be in the culture of the habits, right? Get in the room where everybody is succeeding, and all of a sudden success happens. So, with that being said, I think the book was great. The little tips on making it simple, making it easy, making it convenient. If you're going to take your vitamins, set them out on the counter. If you need, a reminder to read, set your book on top of your computer. Set your book on top of your phone. So that way, every single time that you go to, I want to check Facebook, you literally have to pick the book up that you're supposed to read and move it off of your phone. It's like little things like that I thought that were really, really good in the book. Setting yourself up for success, putting success in the way of things that you're going to avoid and not do, right? Mm-hmm. Some of it was a little like his version of how to make it happen. I didn't agree with every single thing, but overall, 8 out of 10. The book was awesome. I understand what the hype was because I've had a bunch of people promote this book to me. But really, the habits you want to learn are the habits that are going to build your business, that are going to then translate down to your team. Because remember, whatever you do good, and this is fact, whatever you do well, your team will do half of. Mm-hmm. Whatever you do bad, your team will do twice of. That's just how it works. Like, if you show up late, everybody on your team's showing up late or later, or they're not coming at all. But if you show up on time and you do well, you get half of the people to start following that plan, and that's how you build successful business. So with that, that's what I got. Brandy, anything?
Nope. And
tomorrow?
So tomorrow, we are going to start a new book, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. So each one of these videos is going to be uploaded to YouTube. I know somebody mentioned a replay of this, so you can actually save this on Facebook, but you can also go to YouTube and save it there. You want to subscribe to the Top Producer Show. We are here Monday through Friday at noon. And so this is going to be the next book, and I did really enjoy this one because I think it was a great way to start up this show again. And the show was mainly to keep us on track to create that habit, because me and Jeff, we go through different phases where we're like, we read a ton of books all at once, and then all of a sudden we kind of like drop off and we don't read for a while, and then we start up again, and then it's just like a back and forth. It's like one extreme to another. But what we found is that when we were doing this show, we were consistently reading, and it just held us accountable to just keep up with the personal development on a consistent basis, rather than having like a huge surge of books at one time and then like drop off for a little bit. So that was the main purpose of us starting this show, was just for us to stay consistent. And this was a great book to start that. But then that's going to be the next book. We do have a training company where if you guys enjoyed the information that was being shared today, we do have a training company where if you would like more information and go join the community, you do not have to buy anything. But just if you want a little bit of help, you could go to joinmyleadershipnetwork.com and just go plug in and join the community and see if there's a way that we can help you. But with that, anything else you would like to add?
What are we doing tomorrow?
I just said what we're doing.
Oh, okay.
But thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Manana.
I can't reach it. There we go.